Let me know. Testing. You got me?
Can you guys hear us?
Yeah. All right.
There we go. Okay.
We're back. Let me restart.
Let's go.
Let me restart.
Thanks, Ian.
Today's live. ASMR Live brought to you by Ray. I was saying I'm going to do some split jerking today, going to do some rowing. So we're going upper body mobility, split jerks into rows. I'm split jerking because the Arnold is coming up in a couple of weeks, 8 weeks, when I'm defending my title for the second time. Max split jerk from the rack is going to be one of them. One bit that I don't like about this is that it is going to be one attempt only. You have to launch up from your shoulders overhead. If you miss it, you're done. It will be predetermined weight jumps, which I will tell you in a second. But the reason I don't like it is because you can just miss the jerk a little bit. So there's a higher obligation to be perfect with this than there would be if you could have multiple attempts. So weight jumps. Let me pull these up. So we're going to pick it up, step forward, and then the weight jumps are going to be in kilos: 175, 190, 202, 215, 222, 227, 232, 237, 242, 247. In pounds, that is 385, 419, 446, 474, 490, 501, 512, 523, 534, 545. In that list of things, I'm thinking those who get 222 are probably going to be in really good points, or 490 pounds. I hit 230, so 507, and I think 512 puts you top 3 in this event. Regardless, I'm going to start some mobility. I will say a proper hello to all of you. Hopefully all of our regular people are here and hanging out, and we gave a bit more notice, so I assume we're going to have some people who haven't been here in the past joining us as well. You will notice it's very clean, and my dust pile is gone. And I want you guys to know that is entirely because of me. And by me, I mean me because I married my wife and she cleaned it up. So if not for me marrying her, this wouldn't be clean. I believe that's also the way that she thinks of it, which I will only say on camera away from her. All right, I'm starting off with our usual monster dumbbell. I was really good at this last night. I've been doing this a couple of times a day. Oh, that is good. That is my best. My best yet with my left hand. My right hand, sorry. Left hand, not quite as good. Oh, today's going to be a good day. All right, let's get stuck into some mobility. When I do mobility, I set my clock, which is just out of camera view. I suppose just a little bit off to the side. I just stick in 10 minutes, and I know that pecs, lats, overhead, and rack position are going to be the 4 things that I want to focus on. We'll start with some pecs. I'll answer some of your questions and say hello to those of you who are on the stream. And fire away. What have we got? Leash is behind the camera as per usual.
Yes, hello. I know I did see Dalton message in here. Thank you for announcing ahead of time. He set his alarm so that he was up and ready to go. So it's his day off work. So he's
fantastic. Here. Well, I think you can set your alarm, or you can set notifications for the channel. So I think if you turn the notification bell on, that will get you here as well. So please, if you guys haven't subscribed, that would be great. If you haven't liked the video, regardless of what platform you're on, that would be really helpful as well. And of course, comment away and say hello. Happy to answer anything you guys have.
So Dalton has a super chat here. He says he's digging the beard. He was your age when he started growing his out. Just give it 4.
Dalton, by the way, is not old. Like, he might be early 30s. So simmer down on the grandpa talk, Dalton.
He says just give it 4 more years, and yours should be just as majestic as his.
Well, if I maintain the same quality for another 4 years, I think I'll be single. I need this to go well, because right now, Ashley doesn't believe. She doesn't believe in the process. But feel free to drop in the comments what you're thinking about the current status. I'm trying. I'm trying. And by that, I mean, I'm thinking about it a lot and not doing much about it.
All right. So Jody's wondering, any update on the new Cerberus gear release? Pumped for the new belt.
It should be any day. In fact, I got a message because we were going to launch it January 1st, but I've done all the marketing. I'm sending them the assets for it. It's literally just logistics now. It's all ready to go. So let me message my friends now. What's the anticipated pre-sale date? I should have that for you on this live. They're pretty good at responding. But it should be very soon. And I'm really, really excited for all of you guys to be able to get that. Soft belt first. And then hard belt's coming after. I'll give a caveat on the hard belt. Only get excited about that if you're a little bit taller. Because one of the principles that I wanted to improve is that all belts right now hard belts are made to powerlifting standards, powerlifting width, powerlifting thickness, etc. Where if you look at, say, under 64 kilo or under 125 or whatever it is pound girl, they've got this belt that takes up their whole torso. And of course, the belt helps increase intra-abdominal pressure because you have something to push against. As you get taller, that takes up proportionally less of your body, and so you're missing out on some support that you could have. So this belt here is, I think it's only a half an inch thicker. It might be an inch, wider, I should say. But when I wear this belt, I feel like I just have so much more support between my rib cage and my pelvis. I just feel like really, really solid. And so if you're over 6 feet, this belt is going to be a really useful tool for you, I believe. If you're smaller, you could give it a crack, but it was designed for people of taller statures for sure. Like I said in a live a couple of times ago, I'm not interested in creating and developing anything that doesn't actually add to or improve people's life in some way, directly or indirectly. So you'll notice that anything that I sell, whether it's LHBK merch or programs or whatever it is, it's not the cheapest because I'm not doing it in the cheapest way because I'm not interested in that. I want to be able to actually add value to people's lives and just not make the fastest dollar off of you that I can.
So Billy's wondering, did you see Hatton's 529 split jerk? How far off of that do you think you are?
Well, not far off at all. We haven't posted my split jerk on Instagram, have we?
We have not. We should do that.
Go follow me on Facebook, people. I posted a 230 kilo split jerk on Facebook, which, by the way, if you want to do athletes favors, those of us who work hard on our social media, say myself and Thor, I don't know how big the Stoltman's Facebook is, but Stoltman's as well. If you go to Facebook and you interact and you engage, and we get paid for that, and we don't get paid for anything on Instagram. And so sponsors love Instagram because the reach is often better, but we prefer Facebook. So anyway, I posted a 230 kilo split jerk on Facebook. That's 5'10". So I'm close. I wasn't going for max. It was just like a first day, seeing what my daily close to maximum would be. Enough so that I could see my movement deficits, which I have to work on. When I'm locked out, my left elbow tends to unlock and like have to repress it. And I think I was talking with Sonny, my Olympic coach. What I'm going to work on a lot today is keeping the back knee soft and that toe forward so I can be in a more balanced position. Because right now I tend to get like out in front and then I'm here. And when I push back, I need to like really launch myself back. So I think if I can maintain a little bit more of a steady position, then it's a small step, and that should be much better for me. So answer is very close. The more important answer is who's going to be next closest, because I'm in a fortunate position where I don't have a big weakness, so I don't have to scrape for every single point that I can get. It'll be me, Lucas, Tom, I believe, up towards the top end of that, and then you'll have the guys push pressing who aren't Tom. I don't know how Tom does it. It's absolutely out of this world, but he push pressed 240 at Worlds. Guys like Trey, Bobby, Mateusz, I imagine they're going to be in the 210 to 225 range. But it's going to take either being an absolute freak or split jerking to be able to get much higher than that.
Ashley piped in on here. Team Beardless Mitchell. Let me scroll down.
She's just afraid of me being too hot, I think. Do we have any other votes on that yet?
People are voting.
What's the common vote?
Let me see here. I did read, someone said you have to wait it out. I think Dalton might have said something about the word moist. I think I read in there.
Okay.
Getting a little carried away. Okay. So a question here from Ewan. Obviously, you're one of the best deadlifters in the world. What programs did you use to increase your deadlift?
So when I deadlifted 475 kilos, I wrote my own program, and that is up on moosecoaching.com for sale. Otherwise, I've followed programs with Laws. Now, my strongest deadlift ever would have been my 470 in Vegas this year at Giants Live. And I was close-ish to 505. Probably a good 2 or 3 inches away from saying that I could have locked it out. But I haven't focused on my deadlift since I did that 475. It just hasn't been necessary. So I haven't ran a quote-unquote deadlift-specific program in any way. So yeah, I can't really give you a program other than that 475 pull that I did a few years back. And like I said, that's for sale. It was the same program that I did for Static Monsters. So when I pulled 475, which is still my all-time PB from 2022, I was prepping for Static Monsters, and all of my lifts were 18 inches. And then since I was strong, I just accepted this like charity competition deadlift event with the goal of deadlifting 1,000. And 1,000 moved pretty well, so I asked if I could deadlift more as a final lift for the show. And that's when I worked up to 475. I chose 475 because that was the heaviest deadlift of the year. I think that was when Ivan Makarov won the deadlift world champs with it. And then I hit that. But since then, there's really been very little reason for me to try to push it. And unfortunately, that continues as this deadlift in the spring is happening potentially with Thor. I don't know if it is or it's not, by the way. Oh, I hate this.
So the anti-dad bod coach is wondering, hey Mitch, what's your most favorite and least favorite events and why?
It's a hard question because I don't really have like a least favorite per se. I'm sort of happy to do whatever they throw at us. I would say my least favorite are ones that don't test strength as well as I think they should. So let's say like pain-related events, a wrecking ball hold, any sort of walking stone, like a Denny stone, a nickel stone. To me, it's just pain tolerance. It's not near as much grip or core strength or whatever you think as you might imagine. So I don't like those. The ones that I like the ones that are well standardized with established records. So say at the Arnold, I really like the elephant bar for max. I really like the timber carry. Those types of events, when it's on the same kit, you can set a new personal best. You can set a world record. You have things to strive towards. Or if it's just sort of like a random thing, it's hard for me to get excited about that. Okay.
So Isaac's wondering, do you have any recommendations on improving shoulder mobility? I've always squatted high bar because I find it very difficult to lower the bar due to my shoulders.
Yeah, it's hard depending on how big you are. One small hack, you'll see if I go low bar, I put knee sleeves inside the J hooks, set the J hooks angle inwards, and I can go out. So the wider your hands are, the easier it is to get low bar. But the restrictions to go low bar are going to be pecs and lats for the most part. So pecs, any sort of exercise where you're opening yourself up, of course, and lats, anything up overhead, particularly supinated, those two things are going to be go-to stretches for you to try to get into a better low bar position. But for some people, if you have, say, big lats, big shoulders, it can just like mechanically be hard for you to find space to get back there. So work on those little mobility things, hands as far out as you can, and then see if you can make some incremental progress. Oh, okay. Soft back knee. Better. That wasn't good. It's too far forward. That was better.
So Nicholas is wondering, what do you think of a max 18-inch deadlift at the Arnold's? Would it matter if it was the elephant bar?
Max 18-inch at the Arnold. I suppose he's talking theoretically because we don't have that. If it was the elephant bar, you'd have so much whip to it that it would turn it into more of a Hummer tire than an 18-inch. So it would just test a bit of a higher pull. It would be fine. The results, though, would be basically identical to Hummer tire. You know, it's crazy how some people think that certain variation is going to produce wildly different results. Someone like Alexei Novikov could be one of the only exceptions where there is a huge difference. But for most people, you're strong is strong, not strong is not strong. Yeah, it just is what it is.
So a question here from Richie. What advice would you give for someone that is trying to break into and improve on weight training? Me being not the fittest person in the world, it's been a bit of a struggle so far.
Not being the fittest?
Mm-hmm.
Well, fitness and weight training. Yeah, I think we just have to understand definitions here. So fitness is often described as like an aerobic fitness rather than any sort of strength fitness or muscular endurance fitness or whatever it may be. So, you know, if you're just generally sedentary, which is, I assume what you mean, then understand that anything you do consistently will result in really good returns. You don't have to be great on any day. You don't even have to be good any day. You just have to turn up and do something. And if you do something, even without a program, even without structure, even without progressive overload, for the early stages in your training, just get in, do something, work somewhat hard. Now, I'm not talking 9 out of 10. I'm talking like a 6 out of 10. Like, make weight feel easy. Don't make yourself feel super sore. Don't make yourself feel exhausted. After a reasonable weight training session, you should feel almost invigorated, almost a little bit more energetic because you've just sort of woken your body up, per se. You shouldn't feel exhausted and flat out. And you shouldn't take pro strongman training as a recipe for how you should be training. All right, we're going to do doubles all the way up to something decent. Okay, come on.
So we have a super chat here from Jimmy Crickets.
Jiminy.
He says that, he goes, my LHBK gym banner has continued to add weight to all my lifts. Do you have any concern that Tom Trey or Thor might get one?
I don't mind. If I'm beaten fair and square, they can do what they want to do. Although, just thinking about it, we should get one up here, right?
We should.
Yeah, that'd be nice. We got a few additions to the gym to make it final. We're going to put a water fountain in here. We're going to put supplements all in here with all of my mutant stuff. We're going to have storage for all the barbells, trap bar, dumbbell, log, etc. And once all that is in, we'll know what free space we have on the walls to add some things, because I'm not sure if it can be heard on the stream through the mics, but it's a little bit echoey in here. So I think we got to get some stuff on the walls to help out with that and dampen the noise a bit. Mostly just because I don't like hearing it.
So Ali Banana is wondering what shoes you're wearing.
These are Tier Elite Force lifters, and they are so cool. I'll try and show them. They've got chrome at the bottom. They've got wood on the heel, and they have a carbon foot plate on the toe. Really good. Now, price point, they're not the friendliest. I think they're like $470 US or something. I really like them, but Tier's more mainstream version called the L1s, I have a version with them. And so if you're looking at a weightlifting shoe as an introduction, the L1s are a really good place to start. And my Lift Heavy Be Kind colorway is in there as red and black plaid. It's got my signature on them. It's got Lift Heavy Be Kind on the heel. You Are Strong down underneath. So if you're interested, go ahead and go grab those while they last. I know that some sizes are sold out. I've been emailed about that before, so I don't know if we'll do another run afterwards. So if you're interested, grab them while you can. All right, soft back knee.
So Edward's wondering, do you aim for all of the records? I notice you are very analytical.
I'm very what?
Analytical.
Do I aim for all the records? No. I aim for obtaining as many points as possible in every event. And if that ends up as any sort of record, then that's great. There's rare exception to when I'm not just going for points, and that's if it's some sort of lifetime achievement. So say at the Strongman Classic at Royal Albert Hall last year, I wanted to break the axle clean and press world record. I managed to do that, and I prepped specifically for that, and that was the big goal of that show. I went on to win the whole thing anyway, performed really, really well, but the difference there was, like, in my career, at that stage, I'd won nearly every competition that I'd entered. I think the only exception was that one. That one, One of the Giants Live and Strongest Man on Earth. Thankfully, I managed to win all of those last year. But the big thing that I felt that I was missing in my career was some sort of big world record, individual moment. Because whenever you win a show, you sort of win the show slowly. And you don't have that really like big, massive moment. So the split jerk was a rare exception where I did focus on a record, and obviously it all panned out. That's pretty much everything in my strongman career to date has, because I'm a very, very lucky man.
Some people are wondering what weight is on the bar right now.
Oh, yeah, sorry. So I started at 60 kilos or 135 pounds. I added 50 pounds. What do we want? Do we want pounds or kilos? Probably pounds. Most people are in America. So I started at 135. I went 185. Then I went 215. And this one will be 225. Do a double at 225. And I actually have been having issues opening my program, so I'm not totally sure. Oh, here we are. Okay, so I got power jerk, 3x2 at 200. I've got jerk presses, 70 kilos, foot and grip position, 5x5. I've got split jerk 3x1 with 210 with good foot position. So some of this stuff I can't do because I got to do it in my second session later at the gym. Right now I'm going for technique. So I'm going to work up to whatever I feel safe and comfortable to lower back down to my shoulders, which is probably going to be potentially 350-ish, but working on technique. Then I'll do my jerk presses or my split jerk presses, which is going to be just achieving this good balance position, press from here and get that feeling. We'll wrap the rest up at the gym. But right now, this is going to be 225. I got to work on syncing with my legs to catch the bar a bit. I don't like how hard it hits my hands. That's better.
So Halen's wondering, do you have a favorite song to get you fired up for training?
Oh, it depends what kind of training I'm doing. I love the song Next Thing You Know by Jordan Davis. That's my favorite song. It's not really a pump-up song per se, but gets me in the right mood to accomplish something. In terms of like proper pump-up songs, I like Shipping Up to Boston. That's a really good song. Let me check, because I usually just chuck on a playlist. Actually, you know what I've liked lately? I've liked going on to like early 2000s punk rock stuff. And so I've been listening to Green Day, Sum 41, and bands like that. That's been fun. So I'm a little bit all over the shop. But my normal pump-up jams are here.
For Dalton, it is Roar by Katy Perry.
I believe that. Okay. Right now, just to name a few, I got Big Dogs, Zim Zima, Revenge by Joyner Lucas, No Friends in the Industry by Drake, Bad Motherfucker by MGK. But honestly, sometimes I'll listen to that on the way to the gym, but I don't listen to that too much during training, especially like this. I'm trying to think about my technique and what I'm doing and what I'm trying to accomplish. And if I start going psycho mode, it's going to take away from trying to actually make some progress. Now, between sets here, I'm just trying to keep as limber as possible, because one of my big issues with this stuff is definitely mobility. And so trying to make sure that I got really good range to be able to accomplish what I need to accomplish is really important for me.
So a question here from Zach. How do you think you would have fared with the event and weights at OSG this year? Also, thoughts on how competitive the competitive lineup was?
Who asked that?
Zach Golden.
Seth Golden. I'm trying to think if he's a competitor. I'm not sure. I would have won OSG. I think most people would say that. I'll pull up the weights and whatnot. For those who don't know, OSG is World Championship for everyone. Am I still on camera here?
You are. Yeah, I can turn it a bit.
It's for everyone who isn't going to World's Strongest Man. For the open men, it then becomes a qualifying pathway to Giants Live. A lot of guys will get qualified to World's Strongest Man directly. They've done that for the podium the last couple of years. But I'll run through the events. First event was a log lift, 172 kilos for reps in 60 seconds. I've done 162 for a set of 9 in competition. This was with a 1.5-minute time frame. So I think I would have hit probably 5 or 6. For reference, at Rogue, we had 172 for a triple as part of a medley. I messed up one of the cleans just because I rushed it, but I got 3 reps really without slowing down. The best here was 4 reps, so I would have won that event. The car walk was 1,000 pounds for 15 meters. Best time was 11.06 seconds. I've gone 20 meters with the car in a shorter time frame. I've done that in 11 seconds, I believe. So I would have won that. Deadlift, 372 kilos on an axle bar. At Giants Live on the 370, I've got 8 reps. The best here was 6, so I would have won that one. The medley, I can't really say. Sandbag toss, it's hard to say. Wrecking ball hold at 272. My best time is just shy of 2 minutes, and the best time here was 1 minute and 15. And Atlas Stones, 136 to 193. I would have got all those for sure, and then how fast to be determined. But every event that we can actually go, this is concrete, standard. We're not talking about weird tacky or anything like that. I think it would have come out on top. So, that being said, the guys at OSG are unbelievable, and oftentimes you only do what you have to do. So I'm not saying they're maybe not capable of more. That's just all that was done on the day, and I know that I could have done more if I had to. But yeah, OSG it's a couple of levels below, say, a Rogue Invitational or an Arnold Strongman Classic. I would say it's one step below World's Strongest Man. But of course, when you only have the top 10 in the world, the step is up a little bit from that. In fact, I think the step so Nick Guardian, he won OSG and Arnold Amateur. He's going to be at the Arnold. He's going to be at World's Strongest Man. I think he's going to have a way easier time at World's Strongest Man than he's going to have at the Arnold. I think it's such a big step to go to a Arnold type of stage or Rogue Invitational type of stage and do well. Where at Worlds, groups of 5 or 6, there's a couple of guys in that group who are not in contention at all to be the best top 10 in the world. I know. I don't want to get myself in trouble. This is 275 for those wondering.
Andy is wondering, do you think it's possible for someone to push press the same max weight as a split jerk?
No, not if it's a good technical split jerk. Absolutely not. If we're talking between different athletes, though, sure. I think someone not as strong trying to split jerk. Of course, they might not have the leg power to press to lock out a weight that a stronger athlete could.
lots of people asking when the home gym tour is coming.
It's coming. It's coming when the home gym is done, which we got a few things. I would estimate maybe in a month or so. You guys know I post so much stuff. You know that I'm not going to hold something back. If I got something to show you.
So a question from Philip. When I do my squats, my adductors take over most of the movement, so they're very sore the next day. How can I deactivate them so that I don't use them as much?
Well, the adductor you're feeling is called adductor magnus, and it's actually biomechanically the strongest extensor of the hip, not the glutes. So first of all, it's okay. I would be more concerned about how can you condition them to be able to take that load. If you have a wider stance and you splay your knees, it's going to tend to get more work done with the adductors than say with the quads. So short term, you can bring in your stance and point your toes forward, but don't be alarmed that they're doing a lot of work because they should be doing a lot of work. It's mostly just managing the program and the total work volume to make sure that that's not too much for you. Next weight here is going to be, I believe, 295. 135, 185, 215, that's 235 and 70. It's going to be 305, and the one before was, I think, 285, not 275. So over 300 pounds, and then we'll see. I'll definitely go here and 350. Let me just check what that is in kilos. Yeah, I'll go up to about 160 kilos today, I think. I'm going to try out some elbow sleeve options as well and just see what's feeling good for that.
And then Ilka is wondering, do you have any belt recommendations for women? Because I don't feel support in my lower back. It kind of slips up.
I don't really think that women need different supportive gear than men. We're more similar than we are different. So just make your way around to find a good belt for you. The SPD belt is great. I've got my belt coming out shortly. If you don't have a soft belt, I'd recommend picking up a good soft belt, which again, mine will be releasing in the next week and a half or so. But yeah, in terms of needing a woman-specific something, I would veer away from that attitude because you're going to get taken advantage of. If you look at protein powders in the grocery store, the women's protein powder is more expensive than the men's protein powder, or like the standard protein powder. And I say standard not because men is standard, but because standard is just like, this is normal. It's what everyone should be having. So it's more expensive just as a marketing scheme to get women to, it's more expensive and it works because they use the marketing scheme of targeting women as though you need a different protein powder or something. Yeah, I would say test out a couple of just good quality belts. Forget about your gender and go. SPD's got some good belts. Cerberus has some good belts. I really like this latch system, the new latch system they have. So yeah, I would say those are probably the two top companies. I'm partial to Cerberus. That's what I wear. So that would be my best recommendation. I do what I think is best. And for me, that's Cerberus right now. All right, 305. Oh, feels light. Clean it up. Come on.
So a question from Jody. Do you do your own physical therapy or have another PT do manual therapy like dry needling, etc. on a regular basis?
I go to the physio when I get hurt, but only when I get hurt. So I've been getting some work done on my bicep lately. That has been going really well. I've been very thankful for some progress that I've made on that. I don't think I'm too far off getting back into Atlas stones, and I've dodged a bullet for having a bit of a crap Arnold's prep. So again, I'll be back at full force as per usual come Arnold's time. And hopefully we can make 2025 as good as 2024. Although I think that's unlikely. That being said, going into 2024, I was wondering how I could have possibly matched 2023. And by all metrics, except for who won World's Strongest Man, I did that.
So Rob P, he's saying, I just bought the two programs you had on offer looking forward to starting them. Would you do the bulk first, then strength, or strength and then bulk?
Sorry, could you say that again?
Sorry. He says, I just bought the two programs that you had on sale. He's looking forward to starting them. Would you do the bulk first and then the strength, or the other way around? The strength and then the bulk program.
I would probably do bulk and then strength, just because that's going to be more exciting. Like build a base for your strength and then exploit it, rather than build strength and then get big. So I would recommend going that order for no reason other than at the end of that would be 6 months worth of work and programming. You're going to have something to show for it in a numerical sense. By the way, everyone, programs are on sale, 50% off for the time being. And then we've got a whole new host of programs getting launched in January. So that'll, honestly, the sale has been taken up so well that it makes no sense for me to stop. Obviously, cheaper programs are what people want. Great, let's keep those rolling for the time being. I've got a whole new set of programs ready to go for when that doesn't seem to be something people want. That being said, I think exercise should be affordable to everyone. So with the new programs, the old ones were $50 US. The new ones, I'm going to look at the change of cost of living over the past 2 years, and I'm going to discount the programs relative to the change in cost of living to keep it the same price for you guys, because I'm very lucky. I have a great life. You guys support me in multiple different ways. Making it slightly cheaper is no skin off my back. And ultimately, that's going to get it in more people's hands, and that's what we all want. So those will be coming soon. For those of you who have bought merch from me before, programs from me before, you'll be notified on the email list. If you haven't, go ahead. And if you don't want to spend and you want to wait for that one, go ahead onto the Moose coaching site, pick up one of the free PDFs. That puts you onto our mailing list as well. And then you'll be notified of the new releases, as well as all of our other LHPK stuff. Just go pick up a free get something for free, get added onto the mailing list. You get tons of updates from me, and happy days, right? Who doesn't want to hear from me, other than a lot of people? All right, 350. This is going to be my last one. I just don't like dropping this much weight back down onto my neck. I'm just going to do a single here, make it as snappy as possible, and then go to my split jerk presses. Can you wish me good luck?
Good luck.
Thank you. All right. It's funny, 160 out of the rack, knowing that it might be 165, but out of the rack, knowing that I have to drop it back onto my neck gets me so much more nervous than even like a 200 kilo with some sort of safety net. Because this, I could push press this very easily if I wanted to. I could probably push press like 250. I just don't want to. All right. Still light. Should be light. All right, come on. That was pretty good. All right.
So another question about programs here from Peyton. So he goes, tall, skinny. tall, skinny guy here, following your powerlifting program.
Great.
And my sticking point for deadlifts is always off the floor. Any helpful cues?
Yeah. Bring your feet closer in and let the bar go a little bit further away from you than you would think. A good way to think of it, rather than bar against your shin, is bar over your midfoot. This is something that Sebastian Orb preaches as well. Bar over your midfoot, and then as you go down, think about bringing your shin to the bar. Now, having the bar slightly further forward than you're used to is going to allow for a bit more toe pressure. Toe pressure equates to more leg drive off of the ground because your quads are going to be activated more. Naturally, when we push through our toes, our quads do work. For those who don't believe me, just go onto your toes and do a squat. And then you'll be able to pop the bar off the ground a little bit better. So that would be my best advice. For anyone struggling with deadlift at a particular point, whether it's lockout or off the ground, just think about sumo versus conventional. And conceptually, that's a really good way of thinking about what your technical cue could be to improve. Where sumo lifters, very hard off the ground, very easy at lockout. Conventional lifters tend to be easy off the ground and hard at lockout. So if you're struggling at lockout, do what sumo deadlifters do. Obviously, if you have to say conventional, that's fine. But you can always go wider feet, more toes pointed out, and vice versa.
So Cody says, I know that you don't care about what people expect of you in strongman, but does having the opportunity to be the single greatest strongman to ever live not intrigue you personally as a goal?
No. Because that is just what other people assess. It's what other people think. And if I started to give some sort of credence to that, well, then it would start bothering me if someone said that I'm not as good at strongman as I think I am, or it would bother me more if I lost a competition or whatever it may be. I take a lot more pride in the discipline and the consistency than I do in the outcome. And if the discipline and consistency creates an outcome that some people think would be the best of all time, fantastic. Then that's cool. But when my family, my friends, my daughter, when they think about me and what they're proud of when I'm done my career, even currently, if they're proud of how many strongman competitions I win, then they're probably not my friend. And they're probably not a family member who I respect their opinion all that much. But if they respect that I work hard and I try to do my best and I put in a lot of effort and I'm smart about how I do things and why I do things, et cetera. That stuff is what there is to be proud about. The discipline, consistency, et cetera, because that then can make people want to live better lives themselves. Just saying you lift a lot of weight and that's awesome. Like, it is awesome, sure, but it doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things. I want everyone there to think, let's just say you picked up a sport, and strongman is a really important part of my life, of course. Most of my days are dedicated to strongman-related things. But let's say you picked up a sport, archery, to improve your hand-eye coordination. You just didn't like your hand-eye coordination where it was currently sitting. You happened to be phenomenal at archery. You sort of got invited to World Championship out of nowhere. You won the World Championship a few years after you started it. And people were going, you could be the greatest archer of all time. There's nothing, I have nothing against archery, but like, if you didn't grow up that way, if you didn't have that as a large long-term goal, you sort of try to wrap your head around it being a conversation and you being important to people in the first place while they're talking to you about, could you be the best of all time? If you look at, I think context is valuable in this case. If you look at Strongman Archives, and this could give some insight into why I think the way I do, and it's really not intended as a disrespect to the sport in any way. When I say like, I don't need to be the best of all time. If we look at Brian Shaw and we look at his competition history, I'm going to read out his first 3 years, 2007, 8, and 9. these competitions. So his first 3 years, starting from the earliest, he was 6th, 9th, 2nd, 6, 7, 4, 3, 3, 3, 4, 3, 1, 1. So that was 3 years of him to win a couple of shows. And over that time, you can get your head around it a little bit better. And you can start to think about what you can make of your career long term, so on and so forth. But if I read out my first 3 years, it's been crazy. Now, those were all of his competitions in the first 3 years. And I'm through 3 years right now. So my results are 8th, 2nd, 2nd, 3rd, 1st, 1st, 3rd, 1st, 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 3rd, 2nd, 3rd, 1st, 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 2nd, 1st, 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 1st. It's a lot to digest. It's a lot to try to understand what's going on and what it's supposed to mean and how much weight you're supposed to put behind it. You add in social media following, you add in business, you add in on and on and on and on. It gets really overwhelming. So when people are like, don't you want to be the best of all time? I'm thinking as much like, I would like to keep my head above water for the time being and continue to just do what I'm doing and compete hard and enjoy the process. Because the last thing I would want is to look back on my career thinking about what a shame it is that I didn't enjoy it because I was so fixated on these goals that other people have set. So I'm really appreciative for where I'm at right now. And I'm trying to do the best that I can right now, athletically and for the people around me, etc. But what it becomes, I'll take a bit of a stoic approach on that. And I'll do my bit to try to do my best with the outcome, but the outcome will be the outcome, and that's okay. Could that have been a longer-winded answer? Probably not.
Nailed it.
All right, so I'm into my split jerks now, or split presses, I should say. And here, I'm going to try to soft back knee and just feel pressure in my back toe, which I don't do a good job of in the split jerk. And I'm going to hold this here while I press.
We've had a few people ask how many calories you're eating day to day. So this one's from Killian. I would really be interested in how many calories you have to eat a day to be so strong.
I eat between 5,500 and 6,000 calories a day. We're probably due up for a day of eating. I haven't done that in quite a while. And in fact, that was a part of my life that I didn't want to share for a really long time. Probably the first 18 months of YouTube. I just didn't want to do anything with food. That was like a private thing to me. But I'm more open to it. So we can do a day of eating sometime in the next couple of weeks. Ian, if you're watching, we'll put that on the cards.
Ian is watching. He asked the question earlier.
It's like the lowest hanging strongman YouTube fruit is eating and gorging on stuff. But I didn't do it for a long time because, like, ultimately, I'm just a normal dude who happens to be really strong. And I don't like people thinking otherwise. I don't like being inflated. I'm not going to lie about what I eat. Some people do. I'm a big dude. I eat a lot of food. I like to lift heavy weights. And a lot of people seem interested by that. And I'm happy to do my best to inspire, to educate, to get you guys on your path to being as strong as you can be as well.
Neon 2090 suggested a diet swap with Peyton.
Oh my God. Oh, Peyton would be suffering. God, one of the funniest things is like when I'm sure every baby does this, but when she's eating food and she's done, and you like stick food to her mouth, and she'll make this like disgusted face and like swat the food away. It's so funny. I've grown such a love for that little one. It's impossible to describe to people who aren't parents. But like, man, oh man, just talk about changing your serotonin levels in an instant. Like strongman is never less important than when I'm looking at her or making her laugh or seeing what she's up to. Yeah, I mean, you talk to me about greatest of all time or hanging out with Peyton, like that is not a close conversation. I can answer questions while I'm doing this. By the way, guys, this is about 73 kilos. Not overly heavy. It's a bit awkward for me behind the neck pressing, just mobility wise, but I'm getting better at it and just feeling out my pressure.
So back to programming, Tristan's wondering, what program from your site do you recommend for someone who's been in the gym for 2 years?
That really depends on goals. If you're new to the gym, a online program is probably not for you in the first place. So, if you want to powerlift, the powerlifting program. If you want to add muscle, the muscle building. If you're a strongman, the strongman program's on there. So really, whatever suited to your goals. I wouldn't say there's a program on there not suited towards someone who's been at the gym for a couple of years. The only caveat is people who are newer, who don't know what an exercise means, for example, or needs a demonstration, or hasn't heard of RP before, stuff like that. It's hard to program for someone without being proper one-on-one. Which, by the way, guys, if anyone here does want proper one-on-one, go to Laws. He's my coach. He's who I trust. He's who's got me to the results that I've gotten. So here's my 100% utmost vote of confidence for people looking for more intensive one-on-one attention.
Yeah, people were asking for consults, so that would be good. Going to Laws.
Yeah. Unfortunately, guys, I hope you understand. I would be embarrassed to ask the price that I would need to justify any sort of one-on-one consult. It's just not for me. And there's a whole market towards helping entrepreneurs or executives get strong or whatever it is. But my heart doesn't lie with rich people wanting to succeed in another area of their life. Those people can just apply the same principles to how they got successful to be successful in fitness, and they'll do really well. My heart lies in the ordinary person who struggles to make ends meet, who life is unaffordable, who just tries to take care of themselves the best they can for their family, who wants to get a little bit stronger because you want to impress a girl, or you want to take the next step forward in your life, and you want to be disciplined, and you want to stop partying, and those are the people who I want to help the most. And so I want to continually put out things that are affordable for those people, because I know that if I put out something like a $1,000 30-minute consult, there would be someone who spends more money than they have, more than they can afford, doing something like that. And there's no way that I could provide the value to that person that they're putting out, even if they're really excited to talk to me, etc. And so here, we're live, we're free. You get however many people, it's a one-on, however many of you there are, consult, and you can ask your questions away. I'd rather answer them for free now than charge you at the wazoo. Maybe if the economy turns, or maybe if I give you enough advice and you have lots of free money and you're an executive or an entrepreneur, you can just send the fattest super chat of all time. Actually, not even true. Don't do that. Because if you send, I don't think people know this who send super chats. If you send $100 in a super chat, YouTube takes, I think, 30% of that. So your money isn't even going where you want it to go. So do me a favor. You can go buy merch if you want. Buy merch, give it away to people, and promote a good message. That's probably the best course of action for all of the rich executives watching me right now.
Christopher is wondering, if you could add an event that's never been done in Strongman before, what would it be?
If I could?
Yeah, if you could.
What would I add? There's been a lot done in Strongman. Whatever I come up with will probably have been done. Well, I'll try and come up with something unique that I would like. There hasn't been a backlift of any sort in a really long time. I think that would be interesting. Yeah, I mean, they've done tug of war. They've done wrestling. Here's one. 40-yard dash. Give us a 40-yard dash. We're supposed to be athletes. We're supposed to be strength athletes. Let's not be afraid of running and being athletic. Why not? Why not add in one event out of 40 during the year that is just pure explosion?
So we have a super chat here from Tony Bell. Any advice about coming back from a collapsed lung, short and long term?
Ooh.
Apparently no belts and Valsava according to doctors.
Yeah. Certainly short term, no belts and Valsava. Long term, I don't know how much I agree with that advice, but stick to the advice you've gotten because you don't know the complications to your situation, which they do. But I mean, naturally, I would want you doing lower volumes, moderate intensity for the first little while, where you're lifting somewhat heavy weight for 3 to 6 reps. That way, you're not going to put too much stress on your lungs. The last thing you would want is to collapse it again or something. So that would be my best advice. But really, after a collapsed lung is healed, there's not many limitations that I know of that would stop you from getting back to what you were doing before. Again, unless there was extenuating circumstance or something of the sort. But if you have a lung issue, I would just train away from the lung issue, meaning that don't do high volumes. Gives you an out on some cardio, and just get back to general strength training first. Then maybe slowly introduce stuff after. But would be a really good idea for you to go to a physical therapist, and they could look at your scans, look at your reports, understand your injury, your progress, your results, and they could help you scale up your exercise.
So next up, a question from Alex. Mitch, what sort of conditioning training do you do when prepping for a strongman contest?
Depends on the strongman contest. Right now, I'm 10,000 steps a day. That is my 2025 every single day. I'm going to do it. So that just maintains a general level of fitness. And then event dependent. So for the Arnold, the only thing we have that's any sort of fitness is carrying 3 logs onto a sled, dragging the sled. But the sled is going to be so heavy, it's going to be way more predicated on strength than it is going to be on any sort of endurance. And so Arnold is not one that a whole lot of conditioning is necessary for. That being said, after my meals, I'll be on the treadmill or the bike for 10 minutes just to help digest the food. That's advised by Stay and Efforting. And then say World's Strongest Man comes around and there's some more medleys and whatnot involved. Then I'll go into more repeated sprint work, more training, like when I was doing the 1 kilometer a day. That will be really helpful for something like Worlds. So long answer is competition dependent, or short answer is competition dependent. All right, this is going to be my last one here. And then I'm going to go eat.
So Timothy's wondering, I was at the 2024 Worlds when your hands gave you a problem. Could that happen again under the same conditions, or have you remedied that happening again?
Of course, it could happen again, definitely. I've made my hands stronger, so hopefully it's less likely, but of course it could happen again, and stuff like that can happen to anyone. So I'm not putting too much weight into it, but yeah, it was certainly unfortunate, but I'm proud of how I battled through. Managed to come second, which is really in the grand scheme of things, that's a lifetime accomplishment in strongman, coming second at World's Strongest Man. And it takes a big feat to beat Tom, of course. And I know that. So yeah, I just wasn't good enough, and hopefully it'll be better this year. But hopefully the hands will stay in one piece. Boom. AM training session, upper body mobility, done and dusted. What a Friday. Do you have any super chats?
Nope, we're all caught up on those.
Cool. We'll read out anything interesting left, and then we will leave the people to their day.
Okay. What could you adjust with your squat if it is giving you knee pain? This is from Joey Hoover.
This is what, sorry?
This is from Joey Hoover.
Well, sometimes ankle mobility is a cause of knee pain and squatting. So that could be one thing to look at, stretching out your calves. But biomechanically, if you have your feet a bit wider and you drive your knees out, that's going to put more work. Same as I was telling the other guy earlier, more work on your adductors, less work on your quads. So you'll be able to use glutes, adductors, hamstrings, low back, and then not so much forces going through your knee. You also, if you go wide and sit your knees out, then you can see I really don't have to put them all that far forward. And the more forward you put them, the more pressure goes through your knee. Contrast, close stance, my squat has to be here. My knee at my toe. Wide stance, my knee sort of maybe 1 inch forward. So play with that biomechanically a little bit.
Okay. Peyton's wondering, how do you manage competition performance versus results? So results and placing can be so dependent on your competitor's skill, but a year later, only the placing is what's remembered, not the performances.
Yeah, this is a good question, a really good question. I think a good one to end on. Your ultimate goal in strength sports likely isn't to beat other people. It's likely to become the best version of yourself. So if you can focus on your PBs and your results, just worry about that. Stick to that. Don't get too happy if you win. Don't get too sad if you lose. Ultimately, if you're on this stream, maybe there's a couple of good pro guys on here, but more likely than not, you're not making any money from the sport. So remember why you got into it in the first place. And it's not to win. It's not to beat people. It's to join a community, be the best version of yourself. And that's the best message I could leave you with. So as per usual, guys, lift heavy, be kind. Thank you very much for your support. Like the video if you haven't already. Let's get some more people over here. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Otherwise, lift heavy, be kind, and we will catch you next time. Next live will be on it'll be in a bit. Stay tuned. I got some exciting travel coming up.